They are
right.
creating money.
There we go.
What a
Okay.
fabulous way, right? Yeah.
Awesome.
So thank you, Julia. Thank you for doing this for us. And thank you for choosing to come to India in January.
Thank you for having me. I can't wait.
Oh, yeah. We are so excited.
I'm ready to kick some ass.
Yes, absolutely.
No more poverty for anybody.
No more excuses to
No
not
more
create,
excuses.
right? Yeah. No more excuses to not creating greater wealth. So yeah, love you to talk about, you know, your the topic that you are doing under Right Riches for You, which really sounds very interesting about creating your own financial reality.
Yeah.
Please.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, it's a long story. I started Access 6 years ago tomorrow. And 2 days from now, October 11th. I remember the day that I got the first email about Access.
Nice.
And so I always remember the date every year. And looking at my financial reality at that time, it was like a little prison cell. I had a good savings account, but not very much went out. And I tried to get as much in as I could, and I was not willing to spend money on anything. Like, I mean, if I went out and bought a cup of coffee, you know, I made myself
Why
so
you
wrong.
are kind of freezing, not being able to.
I'm freezing? Okay. Am I freezing for everybody else?
No, I guess you're fine.
Okay, so it's probably just my internet.
It might be on your end, Shanta. Because you actually froze for me, but everybody else kept moving.
All right, so that must be fine.
So it was just this very, you know, for me, very limited financial reality. I was very, you know, my father had always taught me about money. He was a great investor, a very smart man. He knew how to save, but he was a farmer, actually, a very well-off farmer who owned a lot of land. And he kept, you know, he didn't know, he wasn't well off until I was maybe 10, 11, 12, 13, kind of in that area. And he never knew if he would have enough money to feed his family the next year. Hold on, I'm going to sneeze. Oh, excuse me.
That's you. On that note.
Yeah, exactly.
Bless you.
Thank you. So it was always this energy of like, you never know if you're going to be able to create. You're never going to know if you're going to have enough. So we have to spend as little as possible so that if we don't make any money, if we create nothing, we don't starve or we're not going without. So any lifetimes that you guys have starved and gone without, will you destroy and uncreate everything you decided in those lifetimes?
Yes.
Times a gazillion.
Thank you.
That online pot and pock shorts, boys and beyonds. Like my grandparents, they had like, do you guys know what a deep freeze is? Like a freezer, like a huge food freezer. They had like 4 of them, like huge ones, like, and they were filled with food. They had these huge gardens, and they would go out and they would garden, and then they would can, but it was like 4 of them, and everything got thrown out because they didn't need that much food. But it's like, what famine are you preparing for? So everything that is, and everywhere you're creating from that, will you destroy and uncreate it all? Online pod poc shorts, boys and beyonds. I think that's what hoarding is. Hoarding is, you know, trying to defend against past lifetimes in which you had nothing. So yeah. So anyways, so I have used, you know, I became an Right Riches facilitator just earlier this year, after having been a CF for 5 years. And I am so excited with this new journey because it's completely different than the other things that I've facilitated. And I'm seeing people go from these weird, ugly, impoverished, whether they have money or not, you can come from money and still have this weird energy. But there's like, oh, most people's financial realities are not pretty. And we don't have the point of view that we can always create more. We usually are taught the point of view that you get your paycheck or you have your job and that's your income. But not that if you actually are a creative being, if you give it everything you have, then the universe is going to support you and all kinds of magic shows up. So, yeah. So I'm excited.
Yes, that's so beautifully, in fact, because it's like, yeah. I mean, it's like you're hoarding. When you were talking about the hoarding, the very energy was like holding on, right? We like hold on to so much with the fear that one day it will go away from us sometimes, and with the fear of maybe we don't have anything tomorrow. So we are actually preparing and planning more for that than for present, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely. So everything that it is, can we destroy and uncreate it all?
Yes.
Right, wrong, good and bad, all 9 podcasts, shorts, boy bands. Okay, so yesterday, I'm on Gary's parenting series, and I've really been enjoying it. And yesterday he was talking about fixed points of view, and he said if you change one fixed point of view, everything else in your life will change. And I really kind of looked at that in a different way than I had before. And what I want to ask you guys is what fixed points of view do you have about money that are creating poverty for you tomorrow?
Ooh,
And would you be willing to give that crap up?
yes.
Times a gazillion, right and wrong, good and bad, all 9 pot and pock, shorts, boys, and beyond. Because, every time we function the way that we were taught to function with money, unless it was, maybe some of you had really expansive parents, but I doubt it. There's not too many of those out there. Maybe Isha.
I got lucky.
Yes, you did. You were smart, really smart. But it's like, when we function as somebody else, it's like nothing gets created. Because only when we make choices from who we are as beings can like the energy go out to create the future. If you take somebody else's point of view and try to make it your own and live by it, there's no ripple effect into the future. There's no creative energy going out. It's like if you're, creating from a lie, if you want to go out and create something, but you have an intrinsic lie behind it, like let's say you want to go out and create an access business, but you have the underlying point of view that you are a really bad facilitator. It's like that's a lie. You're creating from a lie. So there's no energy that can go out to create your future. It's the same thing when you're functioning as your parents. There's no energy that can go to create your future. You just have to stay stuck in the same cycle. So that's why it's like really important not to use other people's points of view. That's why it's really important not to use other people's points of view, because there's also no forward motion in your life. It can't, because it's a lie. Yeah.
So Pramod has a question. He says, Julia, what about savings, insurance, retirement planning?
Yeah. So how many of you guys have a 10% account?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, cool. You go, guys. What's that?
I said for me and for the business.
Yes.
20%.
Me too. 20% comes off. And sorry, my computer's just dying. I gotta plug it in. 20% comes off of everything that comes into my business as well. And so for me, that's an amazing savings. But it's not saving for a rainy day or saving for an emergency. I'm not the kind of person who's going to have an emergency. I don't do emergency. It's not a good color on me. I don't do disaster. Not interested. That's just not part of my reality. And so you can actually make that choice. Like, that's just not part of my reality. And if you are a person who likes to invoke disaster on yourself, you know, that's something that you want to look at and change and make the demand that that's not how you're going to live your life anymore, is cleaning up disasters. So my savings is not in case there's a rainy day or in case there's a disaster. It's money that has the energy of, this money is my friend, and I'm using it to honor me. And I heard Shannon O'Hara say something really funny. She's like, if you are spending your 10% on anything and you're wondering why you're having trouble with your finances, she said that's like cutting out your kidney and wondering why you don't feel good. I love that. I thought that was that was clear. Okay. So,
Yeah.
you know, it's like,
I'm gonna make sure I don't spend my 10% now.
yeah, exactly. Like that's how much of a lessening of your future and an illness you will create in your financial world if you spend your 10%. It will create illness in your financial world.
Wow.
Yeah. So, and you know, there is no have to. It's like you have to be willing to do whatever it takes to create what you require. But the thing is that most of us aren't clear on exactly how much we're spending and exactly how much we're making. And oh my gosh, I had so much trouble actually getting clear on that. I think it took me like 4 years from the day that I was like, I'm going to get clear on exactly how much I make and exactly how much I spend, to the time that I actually got clear on it, because I had so much resistance to it. I did not want to have that kind of financial clarity. But it's because I liked being poor and average and mediocre.
Right. So that's something that I go through. I mean, it's like I'm always fighting the accounts. I'm sitting with an accountant and actually, because that's not fun, right? That's like looking at numbers. And I was talking to Isha the other day. I said, it's really strange. Whenever I go to a bank, I start to feel sleepy.
Yes.
Sleepy. So it's not mine, or probably it is. So I tried returning it to sender, but the sleep that it's just boredom with sets in, you know?
Right.
So I've also been trying to work around that and clear my, pot and pock, all those points of views. But yeah, that's a very big aspect to us avoiding looking at our financial reality, right?
And it's usually because I have found that a lot of the times when I have avoided looking at how much money I'm making or spending, it's because I'm actually creating more than I thought I was. And I don't want to know what an amazing creator I am.
Wow.
Yeah. And it's usually, it used to be that, oh my God, I am not making enough money and I'm spending more than I'm making. But now the resistance, if I do have it, which is rare because I've really, really exercised this and become really strong and healthy in this area. But if I do resist it, it's like, oh my God, I made like hundreds of thousands of dollars here. Shit, that's pretty awesome. I didn't think I made even half of that. But it's like the money comes in, the money goes out, and you don't actually see the bigger picture until you get clear on exactly the numbers. And it creates a level of strength that most of us don't want to have in that area. Like, it really, really is a more powerful tool than anybody understands before they do it. Yeah. So, yeah, it was funny. Even Anthony, he was going through, my husband, Anthony, most of you know Anthony, he was going through his finances, his monthly stuff. And he was like, I'm really making that much money. He's like, it doesn't feel like it. But but if you're asking for, you know, a certain amount of rupees per month, you can ask and ask and ask. You know, if you're already making that many rupees, but you're asking for that many rupees, you're going to be in the same cycle. It's not actually going to increase. But if you realize, oh my gosh, I'm asking for I'm already making the amount of rupees that I'm asking for, you know, you have to actually ask for a bigger life and a bigger world. So, yeah. So,
Can I ask you a question?
yeah.
Okay, so talking about being in the same cycle and making the exact same amount of money,
Mm-hmm.
why do we make the exact same amount of money and then wait for it to wait for us to spend it so that we
Yes.
have to go back to making just the same amount of money and then
Yes.
spend it again?
I know, it's annoying. It's a great
Annoying.
question. I'm so glad that you asked that. So most of us have a number that we've decided is enough. And once we make that number, we stop. So let me ask you guys this question, and you don't have to tell me out loud if you don't want to. But get the number, the energy of it. So how much money have you come to the conclusion is enough each month? And don't go to your head, don't try to figure it out, actually get the energy of it. Like for me, okay, so everything that is and everywhere you've decided that's enough, will you destroy and uncreate it all? Oh man, you guys have some strong enough numbers. Right and wrong, good and bad, all nine pot and pock, shorts, boys, and beyonds. Yeah, for me, I was creating $10,000 every month, and I'm an access facilitator, so it's like there's a lot of room for up and down. I mean, you can do nothing in a month, and you can do tons and tons and tons of stuff. So for me, for an entire 12 months to level at exactly 10,000 per month was pretty weird. I was like, seriously? Like, what kind of point of view could I have that's creating something so exact? And so I asked Gary about it, and he said, well, you know what, Julia? What you're doing is you've decided that 10,000 is enough. And when you're done making 10,000, you quit. Like energetically, you don't realize it, but energetically you shut everything down. Yeah. And so I said, okay, well, what do I do to change this? And he said, what you have to do is you have to go, oh, okay, I've decided this is enough. Okay, so destroy it and create that. And how does it get even better than this? And I said, and he said it to me. And I kind of let it sink in. And then some other people asked questions. And then I was like, wait a minute. When you tell me to say, how does it get better than this? I want to be like, fuck you. Like, I don't want it to get better than this. And he's like, yeah, I know. He's like, you want to totally dismiss me because you don't want to make more money than that. And I was like, but I do. And I'm clearing all the time. And I'm, it's like, he's like, no, you don't. You hate money. And so it's like, if you're not actually having all the money you desire to have, it's because you hate money. So most of you on this call hate money. So, and for me, coming to terms with the fact that I hated money, even when it was what I was working towards, my business is growing, I was focusing on it, I was like doing so many clearings, I was like, I do hate it. That's true. And actually getting clear on that created this huge space for me to actually have more money. So you have to start telling yourself the truth about what's going on in order for there to be enough space for more money to flow into. So, yeah. So, does that help you, Shad?
Oh, it does.
Okay,
Thank you.
Yeah, it's really kind of, we all sort of have the sense that there's sort of this like thing that's stopping us from creating more, but really looking at it and going, okay, exactly how much have I decided is enough, and clearing it, and then being willing to actually truly ask the question, how does it get better than this, is totally a different thing than just sort of being, what is going on? I'm not sure. That takes you to a level of clarity that other things don't. So.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome. And then this person in the chat, Pramod, am I saying that right? Pramod?
Yes.
Okay, so he or she.
No, he, Pramod.
Okay, sorry, I'm not going to make any assumptions because all names are new to me in Indian.
That's okay.
Okay, so insurance and retirement planning. So yeah, you want to create for all of that. There's not, you just got to look at your financial world and go, what's fun for me? And that's one thing that I really like too, is when we talk about the phenomenons of money. How many of you guys have heard about the phenomenons of money? Yeah? Okay. So most of us have heard it, but I don't think that everybody has a great understanding about exactly what that is. And phenomenons of money is when you were a little kid, did you ever like have a bunch of dolls and you would like play with them in your room, and like you would, or for guys, I don't know, like little toy cars or little toy things that little boys play with, and you would like set them up in your room, and like this doll would play with this doll, and this doll would play with this doll, and like they had their cute little doll house and like their cute little doll car, and like you would make this doll be this doll's boyfriend and girlfriend, and like it was like this like little world that you created that was like so much fun. That's what phenomenons is to me. It's like in my bank account, I have like 6 different savings accounts, and like if money comes in, I'll like mark it down and account for it, and then I'll take like 10% and put it in my savings, in my 10% for me. I'll take 10% and put it in my 10% for the business. I'll take 10% and put it in my money to pay my taxes, and I'll take another 10% and pay Gary and Dane. I like to give them a percentage of my classes, and then I'll take another 10% and I put that in my. Fairness loud. How do we mute that? Somebody muted it. Okay, thank you. So, and then another 10%, and I'm going to get into this and explain it a little more to you later. Another 10% is for your future. So we'll talk about that in a minute. This is something new that Gary's talking about. But so I have all my savings, and then I have my little notebooks that I write down my income in, and then I have like pieces of paper where I write down and mark down and keep track of my 10%, and I have an app on my iPhone where I do all of my accounting, and I have my accountant, and I have my bookkeeper, and I have all these different things. And most people resist that, avoid that, and hate that, but I see it as my dolls. It's like, I want this doll to be here, and like it's fun. I'm like, oh my gosh, there's money. Now what do I do with it? Okay, now I get to play with it and put it in all these different places. And then there's like 50% left over, because 50% goes to these 5 different 10% that I have. And then with the 50% left over, I get to live and buy my plane tickets and all these things. But for most people, I mean, when I've created this system for myself. I taught myself this. I kind of developed it. But when I first heard about even having 2 10% and only being able to live on 80%, for most people, even having 1 10% and being able to live on 90% is like a shock to the system. It's like overwhelming. And you're like, I'm already in poverty now. Or I'm already not having what I want now. I'm not going to as many access classes. I'm not having total ease with money on 90%, on 100%, let alone 90%, let alone 80%, let alone 50%. But what you have to look at is how much do I have to double, triple, quadruple my income coming in order for 50% to be everything that I need and more. So it's like these things are totally overwhelming at first, but they're only overwhelming if we're defending the limited reality that we have right now. If you're willing to grow and let go and expand, no matter how uncomfortable it is, and create more for yourself, then creating things like that is really easy. So phenomenons of money, like I really think of it as, just think of like the most fun game that you played as a kid and how you set things up and how you enjoyed it, and apply that to your finances.
Wow, that's a different way of looking at it.
Yeah, isn't it? And then the the other 10% that I was talking about is something Gary has been talking about recently. What you do is, what he was finding was that he wasn't having enough money to pay the bills that he was having in access. He was actually in arrears financially. And so he looked at, okay, so what would it take to change this? And he realized that he had to create enough money so that he had enough going on for 6 months in the future. So that there was always enough money in his bank account, not 10%, not savings, not tax account, but in his account, that there was enough money left so that for 6 months he had future money. And that's building your future. And it may take you 2 years to get there, to actually have enough for the next 6 months, but you start building today and you will create it. Just go and open up the bank account, or maybe you like to stash money in your house. I also stash money. I shouldn't say that. My cash don't get deposited into the bank. It gets put into jewelry and other kinds of things. So it's like, I have the point of view that I can always create more. And this is something that I have had clearing sessions where I wanted to vomit. I've had clearing sessions where like the person's trying to help me clear this stuff and my face is on the table because the unconsciousness is so strong that I can't even keep my head up, you know? But it's like, you have to work at this. Like, it may be these like clouds and clouds of unconsciousness that seem like you'll never get through them. But that's what I thought. And I was like, fuck it, I'm doing it anyways. I have to get where I want to go in life. And I did. And it's just all changed. Like, when I look at my financial world, it's clear and fun and like possible, and everything's accounted for. Everything is there. The universe supports me. Whereas before, when I looked at my financial world, I was like, ugh. Like, I just wanted to vomit or go to sleep or just not look at it. Just do anything but look at it. And, that's really changed with everything that I've chosen with regards to Right Riches for You. Yeah. So, we have more questions. Should I take these questions, Chandana?
I think there's one from Pramod.
Okay, he's loving it. That's great. Okay, so yeah, Premrod is also saying, I have no savings or retirement planning. In fact, I've never been able to put money in a Roth IRA, even though someone told me to start young and start early. Oh, fuck them. Don't listen to what anybody tells you about money. Just use tools. Use the tools, but don't take on points of view. But you want to look at it, you want to go, okay, so if I put 10% towards a Roth IRA or 10% towards a retirement plan and 10% in my personal 10% account, what would that create? So then you'd live off 80%, and just get the energy of it and see if that's something that's going to work for you. And if it's heavy, don't do it. Or if it's heavy, go, am I resisting something that's actually going to create a greater life for me? But choose for you and look at what's actually going to work, because the phenomenon of money is about just enjoying the hell out of your financial reality and creating it every day. Like right now, I'm doing these things. My friend is a very, very brilliant real estate investor. And she says to me and Anthony, nobody wants to talk to me about this. She said, I'm so happy to go to lunch with you guys and talk about how to make your money grow through real estate, that, like she said, nobody in my family will talk to me about this. None of my friends will talk to me about this, because they just don't want to know that they can expand their financial reality. And like, she's more excited to give us the information than we are even to receive it. I mean, we're both excited both ways, but she's just like, nobody wants to look at how to grow their money. If there's any risk involved, they're gone. And there actually is no risk when you're willing to be aware of what your choice is going to create. So everywhere you guys bought into the concept of risk, will you destroy and uncreate it all? Oh, excuse me. Right and wrong, good and bad, all nine, pot and pock, shorts, boys, and beyonds. So she's teaching us about like her most fun ideas that she has used to create her millions, and the ideas that she has to, like, one of her dreams, well, it's not really a dream, she could do it, she just hasn't put time into it, but one of her things is she's like, I really want to own a trailer park. I was like, ew, a trailer park? And she's like, yeah, you buy up some land, you put electric systems into it, and like maybe public bathrooms and a playground for the kids. And she's like, you can charge $1,000 a month for people to put their trailer home on your plot. And she's like, if you have 50 homes, that's like you're reaping your investment right away. Wow. And yeah, like trailer homes, it's brilliant. Yeah. But we would go, ew, I don't want to own a trailer park, because we have judgments and points of view that stop us from having money. And another idea she had is you could open up a hair salon, and if you put money down, you get a loan for the rest. And what you do is, the girls in hair salons in America, they rent the chair in the hair salon. So like, their space rental is for their chair, their mirror, you know, and then there's like usually 8 chairs in a salon or so. And, but you don't pay, she said, you want to charge them weekly, not monthly, because if you charge them weekly, you get an extra like $14,000 a year, because there's more weeks than there are months if you like average out the months. And she said, you can create so much money, and you're not actually in charge of the girls. They employ themselves, they take care of their own scheduling, they just are renting that space, and you can pay that back very quickly. And I could tell you 1,000 more ideas, but like, there's so many ideas out there. We just have to start asking for them and looking for them. And your initial investment doesn't have to be that much money in order to start making your money grow. But most of us go, oh, you know, that's too much work, or I don't know who to talk to, or there's too much risk involved, rather than going, whatever the hell it takes, no matter what it takes, I'm going to take care of myself financially, and I'm going to have money.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's actually making that demand of yourself, right?
It is making that demand. And I have a funny story about when I really made that demand. Most of you know, do you guys know Daria Hansen? I know Shonda and Ishinara, a lot of people. She's an awesome facilitator and a close friend of mine too. And she said to me one day, I said, Daria, you're just doing so well. You're making so much money. And she said, yeah. And she said, for me, I'm always going to have money. She said, I know that if I lost my job with Access, because she works for Access, the company, more so than facilitating classes right now. And she said, if I didn't have this job with Access, I would go and get another job. I would do whatever the hell it took to make the money and have the money that I require, because I'm going to take care of myself. And I'd always looked at like family as taking care of yourself, or friends as taking care of yourself, as that being a higher priority than making money. And Gary said to me, when I told him this, he said, no, if you don't have money, you can't find the kind of man that you want. You can't have the kind of relationship you want, because you're telling the universe that you don't care about yourself enough to take care of yourself. And once you take care of yourself financially, all of you, the relationships that you're looking for and all of these things can come together, but you have to take care of you first, or else none of that stuff is going to work in your life. And I was gobsmacked, because
That's insane.
what?
That's insane.
I know. I was totally gobsmacked, and I was like, it is? Like, I do have to have this straightened out? And it's like, we're taught to be disempowered in this area. We're taught that being strong financially is like when you think of somebody who's strong financially, you think of Donald Trump. You know what I mean? Like, that's what you're taught. Like, that's where your brain usually goes in the direction of.
Arrogance.
It's not.
Yeah, it's all the wrong adjectives, right? Arrogance, mean, selfish. Yeah,
Totally.
that's looked at people who loved money.
Totally.
Yeah.
And I even picked up now, because I I'm doing all the right riches stuff, and I'm thinking about money so much and the creation of money, and I spend so much time in a day thinking about how I can facilitate people better to more and more money, and exactly what the points of view are. And so I'm just obsessed. Like, I just love this stuff. And I was really paying attention in movies to the way that the rich people are portrayed, and the way that it's like the poor people, and how much we're taught to identify with being the mediocre person in a movie rather than being the great person. So, like, the villains in movies are always rich. There's very few poor villains. So just watch for it. It's really interesting. But everything in the media entrains us to be mediocre, if not impossible.
That is so true.
Yeah. So, did somebody have a question?
Yeah.
Malika has a question.
Okay.
If I am dependent on my husband for money, how do I create enough? I always keep a 10% aside. And how does one clear, as you mentioned, that we all hate money?
Okay, let me actually start with the second question and go back to the first question. So, to clear that you hate money, first of all, you have to, acknowledge where you have hated money, and then go, okay, so am I going to hate money anymore? Or is there a greater possibility for me? And everywhere I have chosen to hate money, I destroy and uncreate it all times a godzillion. Right and wrong, good and bad, all nine, pot and pock, shorts, boys, and beyond. You just clear it. You just clear it like a clearing statement. And acknowledge that where you have hated money, that it hasn't created what you desire, and that you actually can love it. But loving it isn't just going, oh, I love it now. I've decided I love it. Loving it is making it into your dollhouse and paying attention to it and going over your bills and finding an amazing bookkeeper and finding an amazing accountant, or one and the same if they're the same. It's marking down the different kinds of incomes you make. I mark down if I get cash, if I get cash from my parents for a birthday gift, I write that down. I put 10% of that away. Loving money isn't just, I love money. It's actually like creating a life where money is part of what you create in a day. Receipts, expenditures, everything. You're present with all of it. And then does that mean that you have to be hard on yourself if you buy a water bottle for $1 and you don't keep the receipt, no, it doesn't mean you're obsessed. It means that you're present with what's going on. So, and then the other one for Malika, if I'm dependent on my husband for money, how do I create enough? I always keep 10% aside. Cool. So you have a 10%. That's great. So I'm going to need more answers from you, Malika. She's writing. So I would ask you also, do you wish to create more money aside from your husband? Is he okay with you creating more money?
Yes.
Yes? Oh, there you are. Hi. Okay, so
Hello.
would it be fun for you to create more money?
Yes.
Okay. So you want to start asking for that to show up in your life.
Well, like the way you were mentioning about wisely doing your accounts and, like the way you do your accountancy and everything. So whatever monthly I get from him, he's my source of income. Like, we Indians, that's how it works with us, getting married. And now we've kind of now started moving out and, creating money and everything. But I'm majorly dependent on him. So, and he gives me like more than enough to kind of and so I do my accountancy very wisely, and we as I mean, I can talk about women, Indian women, we've always, like, from our mothers, have always been taught to save, and we guys have always had enough savings, like, we never like what you're talking about, being saving and for our bad times and all. So we and investing in our property and everything. So we always do that,
Right.
mostly. Yes.
Okay, cool.
So
So
yeah.
what are you asking to change?
What I'm asking is where I expect more. So, I love money and I want to create even more, and maybe find reasons to create as well. I want to know how can I earn. I want that answer.
Yeah.
I want to know.
Well, I
Yeah.
can't give you that answer because only you know
I've
that.
asked for it. I ask for it daily, but I'm still waiting.
Okay, well, keep asking. And also, you want to ask, how many blowjobs would I have to give my husband per week in order for our monthly income to double? Okay.
All right, maybe, I don't know, that ways. Maybe, what I want to,
See, what you do,
no,
stop, Malika, stop for a
what
second.
in,
What you
sorry.
are tending to do is you can come to a conclusion faster than almost anybody I've seen be able to come to a conclusion. Like, you'll ask the question, or I'll ask you a question, and you like instantly come to a conclusion. You try to figure it out rather than going, okay, so what would that be? And giving that question space and allowing it to open up. You have to learn, to allow that to percolate and to move out into the universe, rather than what you're doing is, as soon as you're asked a question, you go kind of like this with the question. You're like, okay, I got to answer this. I got to get on this. I got to be a good, smart person here and get the right conclusion. So you want to actually go, oh, wow, I just came to a conclusion faster than I realized I could, and acknowledge that and allow the question to move out into the universe. Because if you've been asking every day, are you actually asking, or are you asking and then coming to some form of this reality or some form of conclusion, so that there's no more space available for you to have the awareness come to you from the universe?
No, I'm not coming to a conclusion. I don't come to a conclusion.
I just saw you do it 3 times since we've been having this conversation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know.
So just
Maybe.
ask.
Maybe
Yeah.
I don't realize.
Yeah, and that's okay. But just go, okay, so where am I coming to conclusions in my life? Where do I have fixed points of view that are stopping everything I desire from showing up? And I would write that question down.
Thank you.
And I would ask that and clear that a lot.
Sure.
Okay?
I will.
Cool. Awesome.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Awesome.
There's
Are you on the question?
from, I think there's a kind of connection with this question that Malika asked, and she sent this on private saying, what questions can we ask in order to get an idea about what business to create?
And what kind of business to create?
Yeah, that's what what business, yeah, what questions can we ask in order to get an idea about what business to create?
What I would do is I would write down like as many ways as you could think of ways to make money. All kinds of things you could do. You could buy a bakery. You could become a prostitute. You could start making arts and crafts. You could go to school to become an investment banker. You could become an author, a public speaker, an access facilitator. Every single thing that you could do to make money. And then when you're done, look at the big long list and look at the ones that sort of have a sparkle to them. The ones that look like different than the rest. And start to look at those and use those as your clues of lightness to actually taking an action and asking more questions about that.
Right.
Yeah.
There's one more question
Yes.
from Ramneet. She's saying, so I have so many ideas, but then every single time I get stopped for the initial investment it requires, and also somewhere I get scared to take the risk, though I know I can make it work.
Okay. So what's her name?
Ramneet.
Ranmeet?
Yeah.
I have to get a better Indian accent if I'm going to say these names right. So, Ramneet.
Yeah, Julia.
Oh, there. Great. Yay, everybody's here. Okay, so I totally forgot the question. I got distracted by your name. What was the question, Isha?
Give me a second. The question was,
Ramneet? Oh, no. Go ahead, Isha.
so I have so many ideas, but then every single time I get stopped for the initial investment it requires, and also somewhere I get scared to take the risk, though I know I can make it work.
Okay, so what is fear, Ramneet?
Sorry, I couldn't hear you.
What is fear? What is being scared?
I have been hearing it's excitement, and I should always like ask the question that is it excitement or is it really that I'm fearful of something? But I fear taking the risk. It's more like, it's my mom and dad's money and I should not just go on spilling it away kind of a thing.
Well, what could you do to create your own money to invest?
I haven't done anything to create my own money.
Right. So, yeah, I mean, we all have to, like, if you're going to create the kind of financial reality that you're actually capable of, it's like you've got to be willing to do whatever it takes to get the kind of money that you desire. And if your parents are, if it's light to use their money and they're willing to contribute to that to you, use it, enjoy it, receive it. And if that's not an energy that's going to work, you got to go, okay, so what do I have to be? What do I have to do to create the kind of financial reality that I'm capable of?
Wow. That's a good question that I could use. Yes.
Okay, cool. Yeah, because you're an incredibly creative person and you're just stopping yourself to make yourself mediocre. It's just a lame excuse. There's nothing behind it. There's no reasoning. There's no bigger picture. You're just choosing not to.
Yeah, I guess. Yes.
Yeah. So just choose. That's all you have to do is choose. I mean, really, when you make a choice to go to an access class, it's like your plane ticket. One choice takes care of 1,000 little pieces. If you make the choice, everything else falls into place. You book your plane ticket, you book your hotel, you find the person you're going to go with or stay with, you pack your clothes, you know what you're going to wear, you take money for food. Like, all these other things come into place by one choice. And so all you have to do is make the choice, and everything starts to move and be created. And the universe makes it even easier and easier for you, the more you're willing to choose.
Cool. Thanks, Julia. I'll keep asking that question.
Great. Awesome.
Thanks.
You're welcome. All right. Who else? Any more questions, Isha?
Not as of now.
Okay. Malika's asking, please write the question which I mentioned. You'll have to listen to the replay, my friend. Okay. Okay, cool. All right.
Would you talk?
Go ahead.
Would you talk? Hi. Sorry. Would you talk more about the willingness to receive money? Because
Yeah.
I tend to go into this space where I get a little shy to receive money for my art, and people want to pay me, but then I make a decision, and I can feel that's a sticky energy sign, and I'd like to get over that. So could you talk more about receiving money and the willingness to do so?
A great question. And so wait, are you Ava or Sasha?
I'm Ava.
Okay.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too. Okay, so, well, when you talk, you have this really, like, when I see you talk, it reminds me of the way I used to talk. Do you actually have a problem, or are you mimicking all the stupid ass grown-ups around you who have a problem? Because, like, you said this thing, but there was, like, no energy behind it. There was nothing there. It would be like me being like coming on here and being like, I have such a problem with this huge mole on my face, but there's like no mole on my face. The question doesn't make sense. I'm trying to make a problem I don't have.
Okay. So, could you just talk more about the willingness to receive money then? Because I don't have a problem. I just want to amp up my receiving here.
Yes. Okay. Now we're talking. So anywhere you've decided that you have to have a problem in order to create more in your life, will you destroy and uncreate it all?
Yes.
I gotcha. Right, Mom. Got all 9 pot and pock shorts, boys and beyonds. Yeah. So, So what could you do to increase your receiving? Like, what choices could you make? There are certain things that I have chosen that have increased my receiving. But I think one of the things is really, really being willing to move beyond mediocre. Like, you have this life and this world and this possibility that lives inside of you. And it's like, if you get that out, if you start to go, what do I actually know that nobody else on this planet knows, that if I use this to create would blow the world away, would change the way the whole world functions, just because I chose to be me. And that will increase your receiving, because your receiving will increase the more you're willing to be energetically congruent with who you be. When you go out and you try to act like other people and you try to have a problem and you try to be mediocre, that the choice to be seen in this reality in that way will cut off your receiving. And the choice to be eccentric and outrageous and happy and loud is the choice that's going to allow you to receive and to create your life, because your capacity for money is phenomenal and astounding, and you have to keep that with you, keep that awareness in the front of your creation, and keep moving towards the future that you're capable of, and just not go into playing small or being normal.
Okay.
You got it?
I'm gonna have some of that.
Okay,
Thank you.
good. Right on. All right, so
Cool.
one more question before we leave here. We have Prama.
Ramneet is asking another question.
Who is? Somebody in the
Ramneet?
Okay. Okay, hold
Yeah,
on.
some
Take
the chat.
Pramod first. Let's take Pramod first and then take the other.
Thanks, Julia.
Yeah.
This is a question in regards to the 10%. I remember Gary saying that once you start your 10%, you'll eventually get to a place where you'll have that comfort with money.
Yeah.
I've been doing it for a while now, but I've never seemed to feel or get the real energy of that. So I don't even know how long it's going to take.
Well,
And I'm not willing to wait that long.
it took me 4.5 years of doing the 10% to before I didn't hate doing the 10%. And every time I would put that money in my 10%, rather than using it to pay a bill or to spend it, I would be like, why do I have to do this stupid tool? Why do I have to lose all of my money to this damn 10% account? And it felt like it was not my money, and I hated it. And then after he said that we all have an amount of money that once we reach it, we'll start to have peace with money. And also, from my point of view, we'll also start to stop hating our 10% account. But it's like, for me, once my 10% account reached 70,000 US dollars, then I started to realize, that was an amount of money for me where everything kind of switched and moved around, and I was like, shit, there's like $70,000 sitting there. That's like I created. And if I created 70,000, then that means I created 700,000 in the last few years, because that was 10% of it. And it was like, and then I realized that this 10% account was like this entity that I birthed and grew and grew and grew over the years. And it became this entity, and now it goes around with me everywhere I go, and it takes care of me. And I'll always have this amount of money, and I know I would never spend it for anything. And
Yeah,
so it's always going to have my back.
Yeah, I've never spent any bit of the 10%. It's just that I'm waiting to see when it'll really be as big as you said.
Right. Yeah. And it takes a while. Just don't think about it. Don't worry about it. Just keep building it and let it go. And if you get annoyed when you have to add to it, get annoyed and just keep going.
Adding to it, it's just that I realize and acknowledge when you said it, I've hated money for a long time, but over the last few weeks, I've had that energy, and now it's actually come up to the forefront, having heard it from you.
Good.
I guess I realize that I'm going to be able to change that from now on, because I've actually acknowledged it out loud.
Cool. Awesome. Great. All right. Our last question, and then we are gone. Sorry.
Ramneet, what clearing statement can I use to eliminate this separation of money that I have in my world?
What energy, space, and consciousness can my body and I be to have never enough money, but always too much to spend for all eternity with total ease? My personal favorite clearing statement of all time. It changed my life. And you got to run that for probably 2 months before you start going forwards rather than backwards. Okay? And I'm going to eat that bitch all day long.
Done deal. Thank you so much.
Awesome. You're welcome. All right. Well, thank you guys so much for being here. Oh, Teresa just put it in the chat, which was really kind of her. Thank you guys so much for being here. And
thank you so much for doing this. Oh my God, this has been
awesome.
so good.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Awesome.
Thank
You
you
guys
so
are
much.
welcome. Thank you for being here. And
Thank you so much. It was amazing.
this is just the tip of the iceberg. I mean, there are worlds available with regards to money. And I think that you guys have been willing to receive it, and I've done a good job of actually, you all have started to realize, even in this last hour, that there's this other possibility of the phenomenons of money, the joy of money, the movement of money, that we don't normally look at our finances with. And so it's like, if you keep choosing that, it will come to fruition. So I'm so excited to come to India. What are the dates I'm coming? I think it's like Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. It's like the middle of the week. You guys are going to have to take time off work. I gave Anthony the weekend, my stupid husband.
So it's the 14th, 15th, 16th.
14th, 15th, 16th of
And
January.
I'm just wondering, Julia, just half an hour of this conversation shifted so much for me, and I can see it shifted so much for so many people on this call. 3 days of talking about money?
Exactly.
I can't wait.
Wow.
Exactly.
What would that create for all of us? Wow. Awesome.
Awesome.
Yeah.
All right.
Thank you, Julia. You're
Thank you,
amazing.
Julia.
Awesome.
See you soon.
See you soon.
Thank
Have a good
you.
night.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you, Julia.
You're so welcome. See you
Thank you,
soon.
Dad. Love you.
Thank you.
Love you too. Bye, everybody.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank
Have
you.
a nice day.